Hello and welcome to the discussion of philosophy. Today I am going to discuss about an American philosopher and psychologist, William James. He is known as the father of American psychology and he has established a school, functional psychology. And he is considered as a leading thinker of the 19th century and one of the most influential philosophers of the United States. He was one of the strongest proponents of the school of functionalism in psychology and of pragmatism in philosophy. He was a founder of the American Society of Psychical Research. He wrote one book in 1890, that is The Principle of Psychology, Epistemology. His pragmatic theory of truth is the combination of coherence theory of truth and correspondence theory of truth. It is said that with some added dimension. The mind, its experience and nature are inseparable according to him. As we are the essential part or intrinsic part of nature, so our thought and everything is closely related to natural phenomena. So the mind, its experience and nature are inseparable. Radical empiricism can explain and interpret the diversity of nature. Now, will to believe doctrine. James emphasized on justified belief as an unwavering principle which is more beneficial in practicality. We have seen Plato's doctrine where he stated that knowledge is nothing but the justified true belief, but James here contradicts. He said that justified belief, actually the belief which is an unwavering principle, which we find more important and more beneficial in or useful in our practical life, we actually accept that view. Will to believe doctrine allows one to choose or select a belief as his belief according to the impact or importance of the particular belief in his life. Now, free will. James in his writing, he distinguished between chance and choice, which is known as two-stage model of free will. Chance, according to him, it is involuntary and we have no control over it. And choice, it is actually depend upon ourselves or which is voluntary. He tries to explain how it is people come to the making of a decision and what factors are involved in it. James argues that the question of free will revolves around chance. Events are not controlled, secured or necessitated by other things before they happen. Chance comes before choice. He said that when we are doing something, when we are working in practical life, we have to face some unwanted elements or events which we don't want to face. Actually, those we have no control over those occurrences. These are known as chance. In that case, we have to deal with them, and after rigorous practice or relentless contradiction with chance factors, one point of time, we actually find a way where we can choose a particular event which we find more useful or important, more beneficial for our life or for our work. So this is choice. So again, pragmatism, his theory, it is a philosophical approach that seeks to both define truth and resolve metaphysical issues. Theory of emotion, he discussed about that. The theory holds that emotion is the mind's perception of psychological conditions that result from some stimulus. James' theory of the self, which is very important and at the same time very interesting. James divided a person's mental picture of self into two categories. That is me and another one is I. In this case, me, according to William James, when we are using these words, we actually in practical life, we are not at all aware. But the thing is that unwantedly, or when we are not conscious, unconsciously, we are using such word which has a very deep meaning. When we say me, then we are talking about a substance which resides within ourselves. And when we are talking about I, that is actually our ego or our self. Very nice example he had given in his book, that is, I know it was me who ate the cookie. He called the me part of self, the empirical me, and the I part of the pure ego. Now, James further divided the me part of self into a material, a social, and a spiritual self. He said that when we are using this word me, we actually very much aware of the situation where we are using it. According to that, he divided them into three: material self, social self, and spiritual self. When we are talking about a body, family, clothes, money, actually that time we are actually explaining or actually using the material self when we are talking about me in that situation. When we are in social life, when we are using the word me, actually the word, he said that time we actually, the environment is something else, that is maybe the work environment, the difference in behavior when that individual is interacting with their boss versus and with their colleagues. And when we are using me in spiritual self actually is our subjective and most intimate self. So we are very much, the word me is very much applicable in those cases, and when we are using in those situations, we are very much aware what we actually want to mean. Now, pure ego, which is I, he explained pure ego as the thread of continuity between our past, present, and future selves. The selves which actually intact and which is actually which has past, which will have future and present. All these things he denotes them as pure ego. James believed that the pure ego can be compared with the soul or the mind, which is intact from the beginning. It cannot be examined by science as it was not substance. So he said that this is not substance. Pure ego is not substance. It is something which is continuing from the beginning of our life and which will go on till the end of our life. So it is not substance. So for that, no examination or no science will not help us to understand this. This is a very complete psychological matter and psychological concept. Thank you.